Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. Sorry for the late post. I had to go to the dentist today, get a root canal done. So my mouth was pretty much numb on this side for pretty much till like 7:30, 8 o'clock this afternoon. So it's finally feeling better and I can actually move my mouth properly. But that's why we're late. But we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, we have Cleanspark news today. They're buying 3 facilities, upgrading one of those as well. We'll take a look at what the cost is on that per megawatt. Obviously, that's great news, getting to 20 exahash. Then we have also Bitdeer and Hut 8 providing production updates. We'll take a look at those as well. And I think we'll call it pretty much a day. But obviously, not financial advice. As always, you guys know this. And thank you so much for coming in to watch this video. And I'm investing in following coins and companies for full disclosure. So this is for entertainment only. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. Especially if you guys could hit the like button. It definitely helps the YouTube algorithm. So that's all I ask you guys. If you could do that, that would be wonderful. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin really quick, and then we'll get into the stories that we really want to talk about here. Bitcoin kind of bounced off of its 43,000 mark, it looks like right now. It's kind of bouncing off up and down above that, and it's now slightly above the 50-day moving average again, which is nice to see. Today we closed on, we were up 1% basically on Bitcoin. 43,097 is where we closed. The miners also had a pretty good day. Markets had a good day. A couple of worthy mentions here, obviously. Most of the miners were up for the most part. A couple were down. Bitdeer was down. Hut 8 was basically flat on the day. Annie was up for 15% for no reason. Cleanspark was up 12%. Well, we know why, because they bought facilities to get to 20 exahash. And the next goal here is going to be obviously get facilities to get to 32 exahash this year. And then we'll see how they do. I think they were just kind of waiting on possibly the halving event to maybe pick up some distressed assets at that point. Mawson was also up 7.6. Wolf was up 8.65. Those were kind of the big ones here on the day. So that's it. We'll have to see how things go forward here. And let's just get into the news that we do have here. So we'll get into the miners updates first, and we'll get into Cleanspark last. So the first one that we do have here is Bitdeer. They announced their January 2024 production updates, and here's what we have from them. Here's a quote, I believe, or just statement. We mined 330 Bitcoins in total in January, an increase of 123 from the same period last year. At the same time, our month-over-month production declined as a result of lower average transaction fees and the curtailments at our Gadu data center in Bhutan due to seasonality high electricity costs. So that's kind of interesting there, which may continue through the remainder of the first quarter. So obviously they didn't get a PPA in place there. We are actively exploring strategies to minimize further curtailments, and we have already secured fixed pricing, carbon-free electricity for the Gadu data center from April through the end of the year. So that's at least some bright spot there on it. But then they also have obviously build-outs they're working on. One is going to be in Ohio. That's going to be completed sometime in 2025, so that's a year out. Then they also have a mining facility that they're working on in Norway, Tidal, which is going to be also, they're saying mid-2025 in there. So they do have growth plans, but they're a year out, basically after the halving event, which might be at the peak of when we get into Bitcoin bull run here. Okay, next, as far as updates are concerned, so their self-mining is still at 6.7 exahash. They mined only 330 Bitcoin. That's a huge decrease, obviously, from the 434 that they had. And that obviously contributed to weather and the higher electricity costs for them. Okay, let's see if there's anything else here that I wanted to point out. That is it. They did not provide any hodls, so they don't hodl anything. And let's just get into them here. So if we look at Bitdeer here, Bitdeer has about 111 million shares outstanding. Stock price is $6.78 today. Market cap 754 million. Performance for the last 12 weeks hasn't been too bad. You can see that, how that all shapes up over here. And then if you look at their current hash rate, 6.7, future hash rate is at 7.6. They have a little bit of growth left in them, not too much. And then as far as production here for BTC is concerned, their best month was actually in September with 482. And then they kind of went back up here, or down, and then back up a little bit in December, but that was driven mostly by the Bitcoin transaction fees being added to the blocks. And then back down to 330, which is kind of like their average here right now for the year. Okay, month-over-month BTC mined, you can see that BTC hodl, they don't hodl anything. BTC per exahash efficiency, pretty low here, 49.3. I don't think they're the lowest yet out of the miners, but that's pretty low. Some of the miners are in the 50s. BTC sold, they sold everything that they mined. Hash rate, they were at 7.2, and then in December, they transitioned about 500 petahash over to something else, part of their other operations that they have. And they have quite a few here. So if you look at it here, they got cloud hash rate, right? Hostings, and proprietary hash rate. They have something else. Do they list it out here? They don't. I thought they did. Here it is. No, that isn't it. But they have a couple of different business segments that they use this stuff for. So maybe that was moved over to something else there. Okay, value as far, this should be revenue really. Their revenue was the best in December here with 18.46 million. And now they're down to 14.16, like we are seeing with a lot of the miners here as well on that one. And then hash rate difference, month over month, BTC sold value, how much they sold. They sell everything that they mine, so we know that. Going down here, as far as operation side of things, for January, I had them operating for about 25.3 days on average here, based on what they have hash rate installed, and then also getting about 1.4 million in Bitcoin transaction fees, which is about 10%, which is kind of what we're seeing for the miners here across the board. So that's kind of where things played into that. So I'm adding that into it, and then we got to 14.162 million in revenue, which is what we have here. So we're in good shape there. Okay, now going back up here, as far as institutions are concerned, we have 47 institutions now investing in the company, so that's an increase from the 41 that we did have. Shares also increased to 9.7 million from 9.2, so that's good. Percentage also increased to 15.45 from 14.6. And then we still have the 2 buy ratings, and then 0 holds, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. Price targets pretty much stay the same for the high for $20. The average actually went down to $15, and low went down also to $11. Okay, so based on all that, based on everything that we see here, my estimates are as follows. So in the next 12 months, potentially Bitcoin and network hash rate just stays flat where it's at right now. We're looking at possibly for them being between $8.67 and $13. And that is based on the next 2 months before the halving event at 100% revenue for those. And then 10 months after the halving at 50% revenue. That's kind of what we're looking at as far as potentially, right? But we know that Bitcoin is going to possibly go up after the halving. Hash rate is going to definitely go up as well. So that's going to be some changes in there to come. Okay, now looking at historical numbers here, we're looking at the current quarter that we're in and then the previous quarter as well as estimates right now. We don't have the Q4 numbers for them yet. So those are estimates based on what I'm seeing here. And then we're using the actual numbers for Q3 and Q2 for them. And with that, I have them at $15.72 to $23.58. They're currently at $6.78. In my opinion, they are undervalued, but there might be reasons for it, right? Their assets are pretty good here. 365 million in total current assets as of Q3. And then debt that they had was at 56.6. So maybe, I don't know if it's just that not growing fast enough for the self-mining potentially is why they're being kind of held down here. Also, some of the stuff that they report in their Q3 results was missing. I think the cash flow statement along with the number of shares statement. At least when I checked it, it was missing then. I don't know if they updated it since then. But that's kind of what we're going by here currently. Okay. So that's Bitdeer in a nutshell. Let's get into HUT 8 here really quick as well. And then, so HUT 8 operations update for January 2024. Here's what we do have here. So deployed hash rate was 7.2, which is the same as it was in December. Bitcoin mined was down to 339 BTC. December, they had 453. Obviously, a lot of people had a lot good December numbers. Going down here, in January, we continue to realize efficiencies from both ramping up use of our previously installed purpose-built software in Canada and success from deploying firmware at our Echo site to help optimize our hash rate, which is enabling us to dynamically overclock machines when it is economically advantageous for us to enhance production. Okay, so that's good. That's from Asher Ganut. And then in January, we saw unusual severe weather events both in Texas and Alberta, and we powered down temporarily to help support the grid. Well, it wasn't more than temporarily. They shut down for quite a few days based on that. And we also know that part of their fleet isn't operational right now because HUT 8 had issues with one of the facilities. They got kicked out of another facility, so they're trying to get all that stuff back on them. So that's also contributing to their woes, you could say. Okay, let's see here. Highlights. The team performed preventive maintenance on key infrastructure that requires some of HUT 8's machines to be temporarily offline during the month. Okay, so we got that as well. We talked about the payment that they got from, or getting the payment from Marathon to basically leave the operations in the Kearney, Nebraska and Granbury, Texas. And they have some, obviously, construction underway. Pre-construction work is underway, 63 megawatts. And then here is all their sites right now. So Granbury and Kearney are going to be taken off the list here in the next couple months when they do get out of those. Okay. And I think that is it for that. Yep. So let's see. Did they report their HODL? I thought I provided the HODL numbers. Maybe I didn't. HODL. Where's the HODL right now? Oh, here it is. 9,116 Bitcoin is what their current balance sheet is right now. And that is number 7. So what is that? As of month end. Okay. So nothing really drastic there. Taking a look at the numbers here, we got 88.5 million shares right now for them. Market cap is at 609 million. You can see their performance over the last 12 weeks has not been optimal. I think they're like one of the worst ones performing here in the last 12 weeks based on what we're seeing right now. Current hash rate 7.2 exahash. I think that's pretty much what they're going to be at unless they buy miners. I have a future hash rate of 7.3. That is what was originally reported. We'll take a look at the numbers down below here. Bitcoin HODL 9,116. That's valued at 391 million right now. BTC production here. So they peaked in December like everybody else with 453. They now are down to 339. So definitely quite a bit more curtailment here in January than they did in November, potentially because they were at probably the same exahash at that point. You can see also their BTC HODL here is kind of all over the place right now. They peaked, it looks like, in September with 9,366. Then they sold some, and they've been building that up again, and then now they sold again. It looks like they sold 418. So they actually sold more than they mined here in the month of January. Okay, BTC per exahash efficiency 47, so they're below 50. Some of the miners, like I said, that are operating much better are 50s. I think might be even 60s. But we'll take a look at those numbers when we actually do the monthly metrics for the miners here. Hash rate, monthly BTC revenue. So they peaked in December with 19.27 million. January obviously down to 14.5, so it's still better than it was in December. And then BTC sold value. So you can see here that they've been continuing to sell here pretty consistently ever since October, it looks like. They sold 10.8 in October, 13.6 million worth, and December 16.4, and now 17.9 in January here. All right, looking down here, we can see that their miners were operating in January for approximately 24.24 days. So 24 and a quarter days roughly, based on what I could figure out. I added 10% Bitcoin transaction fees into it as well. And that's how we got to the 14.549 million, which is where we're at right there. In December, it looks like they're only curtailed for a couple of days here. So we'll have to see how they do going forward as far as production uptime is concerned, right? We want the miners to be as efficient and to have their uptime as high as possible because that obviously creates more revenue for them. Let's see here. So yeah, I have them at 7.3 exahash, but I think we dialed it down here. We did 7.19 or 7.2 is what they reported. So that's kind of what we got them at right now. So I don't know if those miners are just bad, they're gone, or what's going on there, but that's kind of what we're going with here right now. All right, institution side of things, institutions did decrease here in the latest update that I have for them. They're down to 172 institutions from 179. Shares are down to 7.4 million from 7.7 million, and the percentage is also down to 8.4 from 8.7. We do have, however, an increase in the buy ratings here, so we're up to 2 now here. We have 1 hold, 1 underperform as well, and the price targets are as follows: 17.57 for the high, so that's actually down from the previous one. Average is down to 10.05 from the previous one as well, and the low is down to $4.08 from $7.48. Okay, now looking at this, as far as numbers are concerned, my estimates, looking at the revenue from January going the next 2 months at basically 100%, then 10 months after that at 50%, we're looking at $8.63 to $12.94. If you use the historical data that we do have now, which is this current quarter that we're in, which is estimated right now, plus the Q4 numbers, which is also estimated right now because we haven't gotten those results yet, and then looking at Q3 and Q2 numbers, which are actual numbers, we're getting them at $8.68 to $13.01. They're currently $6.88. I think they are undervalued currently. And then if you look at the numbers here that I have for them, I'm usually pretty close on the estimates as far as self-mining revenue is concerned. I was only off by 0.41% here, 0.58, 0.27, so that's really good. That's kind of like where I want to be. That's my goal, is to be, within at least 1% or 2% of what they actually report. Other than that, I will say that, and I've said this before, I've said this many times actually, Hut 8 needs to get their fleet upgraded as soon as possible, especially their older fleet from Hut 8 itself. They have older miners, and I don't have it in here, but maybe we can actually pull those down here. Let's see here, unhide all rows. There we go. So we do have some 93 terahash miners here from Hut 8, 84 terahash as well. 89, 87, 96, 77. I don't think those were being, well, they were being used at that point. So they do have a lot of these miners that are below the 100 terahash. The only ones that they got that are above 100 terahash or 100 terahash right now is basically from the merger from USBTC side of things. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at right now. That's why I say they need to upgrade those things as fast as possible, because come having an event, it's going to be painful for them, I think. But they obviously have a huge stack. That's not a big deal there. They can withstand the pain for a couple, well, probably a year or more if they wanted to, really. Let me see. I want to hide the selected rows. Okay, so that's it. That's basically Hut 8 in a nutshell as far as how they're operating right now. They have a lot of potential. They need to execute. They need to upgrade. And at that point, I think they will do much better going forward. But we'll have to see how they do. Okay. So that's it for Hut 8. Let's get into Cleanspark here really quick as well, and we'll call it a day. Okay. So Cleanspark announces 2 new acquisitions, securing power infrastructure to reach 20 exahash right now. They're pretty much set for 16 exahash. They needed an extra 4 exahash to get them to the 20 exahash, which is going to be probably like shipping right now, getting pretty close to that. So here's what we have. So Cleanspark today announced it has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire 3 turnkey Bitcoin mining facilities in Mississippi for a cash payment of $19.8 million. The purchase is expected to close within 21 days, with the operating hash rate at the combined facilities expected to reach 2.4 exahash per second shortly thereafter. So they're basically, getting those, they're buying them, and they're going to just plug all their miners in that they can into that facility. Concurrently, the company has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire a 3rd mining facility, which is under construction in Dalton, Georgia. So they already have a facility there. For initial cash payment of $3.4 million, the company expects to invest another $3.5 million to complete the project, with a target operational date of April 2024. So that's basically 2 months away, right? We're in February, March, April. Yep. The facility is expected to operate 0.8 exahash, which is kind of in line with what the other facilities that they have there in Dalton. Cleanspark already operates approximately 8 exahash of machines at its current campus in Dalton, comprised of 2 facilities. Additionally, the company is now expanding its existing Dalton campus with an extra 0.8 exahash, expected for a total operating hash rate of 2.4 exahash once all facilities in Dalton are running at the full capacity. Okay. So that would be good there. The 2 announced deals, combined with the imminent energization of Centersville expansion, which should be happening today. We'll see if that happened, actually. We'll get an update from Cleanspark maybe tomorrow if this energization did happen. Provide Cleanspark with additional power it needs to exceed 20 exahash during the first half of 2024, which is double the company's current operational hash rate of 10 exahash. The company expects to pay for the acquisition with cash on hand, so no dilution for getting to that. So that's fantastic there. Let me see if we have anything else here. Okay, so here's the site breakdown right now. So Mississippi is going to be 2.4 exahash. These are the announced acquisitions. Dalton is 8 exahash that they're buying. That gets into 3.2. They're going to plan expansion of Dalton existing. I guess is going to give them another 8 exahash. Or not, sorry, 0.8 exahash. And then obviously that'll get them to 4 exahash they need right now. So total, they will get to 20 exahash. Okay, so that's actually really good news there. And that's kind of what we've been waiting on. I've been harping on them to provide some information, right? Others have been harping on them also to provide some information as how are they going to get to 20 exahash? And then how are they going to get to 32 exahash? So the next really goal for them is find facilities for 12 exahash of machines. So I think their plan, like I said earlier, is to wait until sometime after the halving event, and then they will possibly pounce on some distressed assets at that point, because we do think that there's going to be some coming up, because some miners have older machines, and those facilities might be coming offline and being available for sale, basically. Okay, so let's take a look at here as far as Cleanspark, what they have here. So the miners that are needing to get housing for them, or rack space, are basically, you got a little bit of 140 terahash miners, which are the XPs here. And then we have all of these 200 terahash miners. These are the S21s. And these are operating at about, 17 joules per terahash, something like that. I have these right now at 3,500 watts. And that includes, let me see how many miners is this. That is a total of approximately 22,000 miners that need to get plugged in here in the next couple months. So that's kind of what we're working with right now. And then they have the 12 exahash here, which is an additional 60,000 miners that they have on order that's supposed to be starting like in April, sometime April, May, June. So they need to start looking, maybe they already are looking, but they really need to get looking on some possibly distressed assets there. Okay, so if we look at the numbers here, what they actually need as far as megawatts to get the 4 exahash installed, I'm looking at possibly 88 megawatts here. Based on the 3,500 watts per machine, maybe we need 88 megawatts to get them to the 4 exahash, a little bit, I mean, my numbers are a little bit above that, but that would get us to about 4.02 exahash here. Don't mind these numbers, these are just calculations here on cost per terahash, what that would possibly cost. We're not looking at that. We saw that Mississippi facilities are being bought for $19.8 million. Dalton, with the added 3.5 or 3.4 million in additional cost to get that facility upgraded to didn't want that. To the, oh, geez. Exahash they need. That was a total of about 6.9 million there. So the total comes out to be about 26.7 million. So 88 megawatts, take the 26.7 million divided by the 88 megawatts, and you're basically paying 303,000 per megawatt, which I believe is less than what Marathon paid. Marathon paid around, what was it, 360 some, 350, something like that per megawatt when they bought those two facilities just recently here. So it looks like potentially Cleanspark got a little bit better deal here on this. Okay. All right, I think that covers it all. So great news here, obviously, for Cleanspark. Great news for, obviously, Marathon when we talked about it, them getting their own facilities. So I think that's the kind of path going forward with a lot of these miners, is buying their own facilities. And I think Marathon kind of just realized it here recently, that if you control everything from basically the floor up to the ceilings and the fans and everything else, you have better control over your costs and everything else. But, you know, it is what it is right now. Nonetheless, great news here. Next thing that we really want to see is how will they get to 32 exahash, right? That's going to be, in order for them to get to 32 exahash, here's what we need basically. Let's go back to this screen here. So if we want to get to 32, now you basically have to, well, it's 12. So we'll multiply that by 3. So they need another 90 times 3 is 270 megawatts basically, right? With these miners that they have here, based on them being 200 terahash miners. So we need another, right? That's going to be another, am I doing that right? 90 times 3, yeah, 270 megawatts. So 270 megawatts, they're going to be paying, basically, let's do that, equals this times, this times 270 megawatts, and you get, they're going to have to pay about 82 million if they can get the same price as they currently have, right? So it could be between 81 million, could be a little bit less depending on how distressed the market is right at that time when they do purchase, or it could be a little bit more. So I'm guessing probably between 75 to 100 million that they're going to have to pay for an additional infrastructure to get to the 32 exahash that they want to get to. So there will be some dilution probably happening there, because I don't think they have that much cash, but we will find out in 2 days, because they're reporting their Q1 numbers here on February 8th. So we'll see how much cash they have. And we'll obviously take the cash out that they paid for this, potentially, and then we'll see how much cash they have left, and is there enough to actually cover this expense. Plus, we know that they have to pay for the miners, so there is going to be some dilution. It just depends on where the stock price is and how much they dilute at that point. Okay, but that is it. So, as always, if you guys enjoy this, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And then also the spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. That's still $8 a month. The link is down in the description. And that is it. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for coming in to watch this. It means a lot to me. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Okay, I'm rambling on here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.